A huge welcome to my Israel Brief community, old and new, near and far. Before we get into the headlines, I want to thank you all so much for your incredible support and for your love. And you guys don't know it, but you get me through some really difficult times with your love, with your support. And I wanted you to know just how grateful I am for you. In these very dark and turbulent times, it is good to know we have our community out there. It is growing, and I consider myself very blessed to have all you guys. So welcome to the Israel Brief, brought to you as always by Lay of the Land. I'm Rolene Marks, in case we haven't met, and I bring you those top stories. And today is day 158 of Israel's war with Hamas. So let's get off to a look at those top stories. And we have seen the situation on Israel's northern border heating up quite significantly. Over the last couple of weeks, there has been an increase in the exchange of fire. Yesterday, we had several barrages of rockets and drones enter Israeli airspace. Of course, the Iron Dome set off red alerts and intercepted. And this morning, Hezbollah has claimed responsibility for firing about 100 rockets just this morning from southern Lebanon into Israel. It is important to note that Hezbollah is also an Iranian-sponsored proxy, and Israel is prepared for any inevitability of war on multiple fronts. In fact, earlier today, we intercepted or we had rocket alerts over the south in Eilat. So we are fighting on multiple fronts. It is also Ramadan, so we are working to maintain calm and the status quo in the West Bank and in Jerusalem as well. But the media is not speaking about the increase in attacks from Hezbollah, who look like they are trying to draw Israel into a greater war. Also not spoken about a lot are the hundreds of thousands of Israelis who have had to be evacuated from their homes in the north. Many of them, their homes have been destroyed by the rockets and projectiles fired by Hezbollah into northern Israel. So the IDF striking Hezbollah command posts deep inside Lebanon. One was in Baalbek, which is an area very deep inside Lebanese territory, and also the area of Sarain, which is about 80 kilometers from the border with Gaza. So we are watching this very carefully. In other security news, last night was the second night of Ramadan. It went peacefully. We are on high alert in Jerusalem and in the West Bank. And of course, we will be watching Friday midday prayers very closely to ensure that there are no riots or uptick in violence on the Temple Mount. Yesterday, I brought you the story that Israel's Foreign Minister, Israel Katz, was en route with some of the families of hostages as well as former hostages for an emergency session at the United Nations Security Council. Now, this emergency session was called at the request of France, the United Kingdom, and the United States, by the request of Israel. Israel is not a permanent member of the Security Council, but the other three countries are, and called this emergency session. In a very emotional speech, Israel's foreign minister appealed to council members to close their eyes and imagine if it was their children. He called on them to recognize Hamas as a terrorist organization, as a terrorist entity, and appealed to them, end the silence of the United Nations and use your power to end this hell on earth. We have heard a lot from the United Nations about the situation for Palestinians, and of course we feel for Palestinian civilians who wanted this war probably as much as we wanted this war, which is absolutely not at all. You know, Israelis are acutely aware of what is happening in the Gaza Strip. We are not immune to that. But there is suffering on our side as well. And of course, the media is not talking about that. He also appealed to the United Nations to condemn the atrocities of the 7th of October, saying it has been 5 months and none of you have condemned this. Very, very moving, emotional and harrowing was the address to the Council by the UN Special Envoy on Sexual Violence, Pramila Patten, along with her team who was here recently and compiled the report on sexual violence committed against Israeli women and girls on the 7th of October, which was released last week. It was an absolutely harrowing testimony. She spoke about how she had been to Israel. She had met with family members, survivors of the Nova Festival. She spoke about the rapes, the level of depravity, how our women were treated, how our hostages are currently being treated, and spoke about the fact that they were mutilated, the bodies defaced, and there are at least 2 counts of necrophilia. She said she also looked into the eyes of families. She saw their pain. She says these shattered people who are trying to pick up what remains of their lives. She has called for a much wider investigation into these crimes against humanity and these atrocities perpetrated by Hamas rapists and terrorists against the people of the south of Israel. The first aid ship has left the port of Nicosia in Cyprus and is headed to Israel with 200 tons of aid, including food, flour, rice, and protein. This is a pilot project. Israel has been criticized for not sending in enough aid into the Gaza Strip. We are continuing on a daily basis, and as I have been saying for weeks, and I will reiterate it, there is no cap. There is no cap to the amount of aid that we are letting in, and we are letting in aid on land via trucks, from the air via airdrops, and now from the sea, which we are coordinating with multiple countries. So when it comes to the issue and accusations of starvation, it is not Israel withholding aid or inhibiting aid in any way. It's what happens once that aid is inside the Gaza Strip, and who is responsible for the dissemination of that aid, which is various humanitarian organizations working on the ground and UN aid assistance organizations working on the ground. And finally, because wherever we can, we love to end on a good news story, and we are so thrilled that former heavyweight champion Floyd Mayweather has been awarded the Champion of Israel Award. He was given this award. There's a beautiful picture of him on top of the rooftop of the Dan family Aish HaTorah building in Jerusalem, which is just exquisite if you ever get to Jerusalem. He has been absolutely exceptional over these last 5 months. He was one of the first to fly help in to communities and first responders affected by the 7th of October atrocities. He has been a massive and magnificent friend of the state of Israel, of the Jewish people. And Floyd, to use boxing parlance, you delivered the knockout punch, and we so appreciate you for that. So that brings me to the end of today's edition of the Israel Brief. Please don't forget to check out our website on www.layoftheland.online, our Facebook page at Lottel's site. Our YouTube channel, as always, is at the Israel Brief. If you like our content, please subscribe, please share as much as you can. And we are on X at Lay of the Land 5. And with that, guys, thank you so much. I will see you again tomorrow. Take care of yourselves and each other. God bless.